Hello, my name is Patricia Meredith, and I am the author of the Spokane Clock Tower Mysteries, Book 1 and 2, which are already available, Butcher Baker Candlestick Taker, and Cupboards All Bared. However, today I am so excited to unbox with you book number 3, Crazy Maids in a Row. It is available for pre-order in all 3 formats, but I finally got my first box of print books, so we'll get to see what that looks like. So, shall we get right into it? Here we go. All right, ready? Ta-da! Crazy Maids in a Row. Book number 3. Can't believe it. Already got the first 3 out. So, fair warning, guys, I am planning 12 books in this series. So, however, this first 3 is a complete arc. So, not only do I strongly recommend that you read them in order, of course, because it is a series. So, read it from book 1, book 2, book 3. But then after that, my plan is to kind of get into some books that are a little more, you can just pick them up. You don't have to have read them in order. But this first arc, I call it the Baker arc, which makes sense to those who have read it. This first arc of character development and character introduction is very important, and they're all tied together. So I absolutely recommend that you read 1, 2, 3. That being said, I have gotten a few reviews in already for book 3, and people are just loving it. They absolutely love it. Some are saying that it's their favorite one, and I think that's because by now you really know the characters. I am a character-driven author, character-driven writer. So when I write my books, I am really thinking about where I want to take my characters, and then the murder is secondary. So unlike Poirot or Sherlock, who are considered iconic static characters, meaning they don't change over the course of the series, right? They have no arc. They have no learning curve. However, my characters definitely build from book to book. There's things that happen in their life that change. Their emotions, the things that they go through are going to change as life throws them curveballs. I mean, true to life, right? This is historical mystery again. This whole series is going to be set in 1901, Spokane, following the building of the Spokane Clock Tower, which still exists. You can still visit it. And as some of you noticed, we have actually moved since the release of book 2. We have now moved from Spokane. We are now living in Colorado Springs, and I'm so excited to be here. I actually graduated from high school about an hour and a half away from here. Buena Vista, shout out to Buena Vista, Puny Beauty. So I'm just so excited to be back amongst the mountains and the beautiful people of Colorado. But that being said, I am not done with the Spokane Clock Tower Mysteries, and I'm not done with Spokane. We have lots of family and friends up in Spokane, and of course I'll be back for lots more events and readings and research, because I have 9 more books to write. So I am working on book 4 right now, so it's coming. So I'm very excited about book 3, however. In book 3, we're going to take a little jaunt. It is still set in Spokane, but primarily a lot of the events happen in the Medical Lake Asylum, which is right next door. Medical Lake is like just a 7-minute drive now. It's about, I think it's 16 miles technically from Spokane. I would have to look in my book because I forget exactly, but I know I mentioned how far away it was. And in 1901, you could only get there by train. Very soon after that, they put in a permanent streetcar that would take you directly from Spokane to Medical Lake, but according to my research, that did not exist in 1901. So they still had to hop on an actual train in order to get from city to city. Medical Lake is just a little place at this time, but it is big enough to host the hospital, the Eastern Washington Hospital for the Insane. Ooh, it just gives you chills, huh? Especially this time of year. That's why I decided to release this one specifically around Halloween, because this is probably my most Halloweeny themed book. It does take place a lot in the asylum, which is not all creepy. Some of it is very, very sad because in 1901 they were not aware of some of the things that we are now concerning mental health and disabilities. And so in this book, I really take a deep dive into that while, of course, solving a murder. But I'm very excited to re-engage you with some of the main characters, with all of the main characters. We've got Archie Prescott, who is the clockmaker. He is still in Spokane, but trying to figure out if his time is up there, if he needs to return home. We've got Marian Kenyon. We're going to take a little bit further look into her backstory, which is always fun to peel back a layer at a time in each book, as slowly more and more of her secret is revealed. So she is definitely a primary character in this one. In fact, we open with her point of view. Unfortunately, I cannot read you that part because it would give away stuff from book 1 and 2. So I had a hard time thinking how I was going to read to you from this book, because almost everything gives away something from book 1 or 2. There are major reveals in book 1 that happen, and then they go even deeper in book 2. So you'll see what I ended up picking. It's just a short section, but I thought it caught the ambiance of book 3. So before we get into that, though, the other characters that are going to reappear. Of course, we've got my detective characters. Bernard Carew is still a detective, and Officer Thomas Carew is his twin brother. They are so much fun to write. They are so much fun. We're going to look again a little bit more at Thomas's relationship with a certain somebody. Again, I can't really give that away. They're good brothers. Somebody recently asked me if they were inspired by my own brother, and yes, they are. They started that way. They have definitely taken on a character of their own. However, both brothers, the twin brothers, are basically two aspects of my own brother, and he knows that. He's perfectly aware of that. So, hi, Andy. Thank you for letting me be inspired by you. That being said, they are two people's most favorite characters. So we will also get to see Rosalind a little bit more. Rosalind became a main character in the second book, and she will continue to be a main character throughout the rest of the series. Rosalind is Bernard's wife, for those of you who haven't met her yet. She is in a wheelchair, but she is by no means considered wheelchair bound. They might have considered her that in this era, but she is by no means so. She is incredibly intelligent, and she's always reading new things. She speaks multiple languages, and nothing can stop her from getting all over the place, other than the fact that at this time there was no wheelchair accessibility in places, and so she has to get a little creative. But luckily, she knows two inventors who might be able to help her in this one. So, all right. So, like I said, I would like to share with you a reading. So, here we go. Archie wasn't sure what he'd expected from a place called the Eastern Washington Hospital for the Insane, but it wasn't this handsome building. This was his first time traveling by train the 16 miles west to Medical Lake, though he'd heard of its supposed healing properties, referred to as a modern pool of Bethesda. The magnificent modern Gothic hospital was on the west side of the lake. It was an impressive 3-story red brick structure with metallic shingles upon the roof and galvanized iron cornices. To either side of the center entrance, dominated by a grand cupola, stretched 2 wings, almost certainly one for male patients and one for female patients. Archie turned from the hospital entrance to take in the rather picturesque view from the tops of the surrounding evergreens, down to the granite shore, and in the distance to the snow-capped tips of the Coeur d'Alenes. He almost wished Marian had brought her camera to capture it all, but realized that was a silly thought when they were here on such important business. Archie cleared his throat and adjusted his satchel on his shoulder before leading the way in through the grand front doors, blinking in the bright yellow light of incandescent electric bulbs. Archie had never been in an asylum before, and decided immediately upon entering he'd never like to visit one again. There was something about the imposing, high-ceilinged entryway that told him herein lay madness. To the right of the front door was another door, upon which hung a framed declaration: visiting hours 2 to 4 p.m., Monday through Friday, no holidays. And then, in small print, exceptions may be made for family, scientific, and legal visitors. Please inquire with the superintendent or assistant physician. Archie held the door open for Marian as they entered a small reception room. Behind a desk sat a slight woman with glasses, who apparently preferred them hanging just on the tip of her nose rather than framing her eyes. Responding to the sight, Archie pushed his own glasses up to the bridge of his nose and asked politely if they could visit the baker. The woman was silent a full heartbeat before saying in a rather loud, shrill voice, "You want to see the baker?" Archie felt the room still around them as everyone turned to look at the two encroachers, but he straightened his shoulders and said commandingly, "Yes." The woman scoffed. "No one sees the baker." So that is book 3. Just a little taster there. One of the best things about this book is that a lot of the research for the actual asylum and how it was run comes from Alex Fergus at the Ferris Archives, uncovering the Medical Lake bylaws from 1891. So when the hospital was first started, here are the bylaws of how everything works inside of it. And so I was able to take literally lines from it and rewrite them and rework them right into characters, into things that they could talk about how the asylum works. For example, all of the staff were live-in. So the attendants, the nurses, the head physicians, all of them lived in the asylum. There was a separate wing attached. And then I was also able to find through the Sanborn maps of the time period, maps of the asylum. So for example, when Archie walks into the asylum at the very beginning for the first time, and he's describing how he goes in one door and then goes in another one, well, that's based on the map. I was able to see how the whole thing was laid out. There was a male and female wing, and more about that when you get into this. So it was just really cool. Oh, the sign that he reads on the very front about, when they're open and who's allowed to come in and stuff like that. That's taken out of the bylaws. So it makes me so excited to share all of this and bring to life a place that is not like that anymore. For one, the Washington State Hospital is just a hospital now. It's not strictly for insane. It's not an asylum anymore. It meets all needs, and it looks very different now. But you can still visit it. Of course, Medical Lake is still there. It is still proclaimed for its healing properties. It's kind of like the Colorado Springs hot springs around here. It was famous for, in fact, Buena Vista, Cottonwood hot springs, it was famous for its healing properties in the hot springs. So same thing with Medical Lake. So it's all tied together. It's all so cool. But it's just really fun how the bylaws were able to really be incorporated into this book. So once again, it is deeply drenched in history, deeply inspired by history, just like the first 2 books. So it's just always so much fun for me to get them all interwoven together. So so be looking for giveaways. Be sure to be following my social media accounts at pmeredithauthor. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and sign up for my newsletter at patricia-meredith.com to be the first to hear about the giveaways that I'm having. Next Monday, there'll be a giveaway happening on Goodreads for the ebook version of Cupboards All Bared, so you can sign up for that. And then there'll be some other giveaways happening on release day. Again, that's October 25th for Crazy Maids in a Row. You can pre-order it in all 3 formats. That's ebook, print, and audiobook, wherever books are sold. Support your local bookstores, support your libraries, put it on pre-order even at your library. You can do that. Like I've said before, I'm a huge supporter of libraries, so go out there and request it. If you request it, then it's available to everybody. So thank you again to everybody who's been following me and supporting me and reading my books and leaving me such incredible reviews. I'm so excited to get this book out there for all of you to enjoy. And I hope you've enjoyed the series so far, and this is still just the beginning. We've got 9 more to go, at least that I have planned, but these first 3, if you're looking for a completed series in order to start, and because you want to know that there's a beginning, middle, and an end, right? And I realize there's a lot of people who are like that, a lot of readers who are like that, then now's the time. Now's the time. These 3, this is a complete arc, 1, 2, 3. It's character development. And if you love the characters enough that you want to keep reading the series and keep following their adventures for the next 9 books and see what else happens in Spokane, then you can join me when book 4 comes out. So I'm working on that one right now, doing a lot of research, and I'm so excited to get that one out there as well. It just keeps building on each other. So thank you so much, and I hope the rest of your October is truly blessed, and that I'll see you again on October 25th. Thanks.